ladies and gentlemen. It is already the third time that the Kościuszko Institute has organized the Young Leaders Initiative, a project addressed to young scholars whose research interests are focused on cyberspace and security of the digital world. We received a great number of articles where Ph.D. and master students shared their views on the most pressing threats to cyberspace. We are very happy that each year the number of applications is growing, which may imply the increasing commitment of the young generation to solving the challenges of the digital world. The evaluation committee had a really demanding task, especially given the fact that the papers represented excellent research qualities and offered original ideas and approaches. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the great honor to announce that CYBERSEC 2020 young leaders are Esther, Staes, and Christopher Wijono, master students in International Security and Development at the Jagiellonian University in Kraków, as well as leading members of the Student Association of International Security and Development, for the paper entitled The Panoptes Maya, Virtualizing the Foucaultian Panopticon in Surveillance and its Reinforcement through Adversarial Internet, and Theodoros Karathanasis, Ph.D. candidate in European Law at the University of Grenoble, Alpes, with the paper entitled European Union Artificial Intelligence Regulation, Facing the Challenge of a Technologically Neutral Policy. Now, we will connect with them to hear how they briefly described their approach towards the greatest cyberspace challenges. Thank you.
So, greetings. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Christopher Wijono, and as mentioned, I'm currently pursuing a master's in international security and development in the Jagiellonian University in Poland. In writing our paper, I noticed heavy similarities and recurring themes between Bentham and Foucault's almost dystopic and brutal utilitarian thoughts and the use of adversarial internet. Through the paper, we desire to highlight how the panopticon, this panopticism, is realized through the adversarial internet, thereby achieving a transition from tangibility to intangibility, highlighting the power dynamics between the observer and the observed. Goals and methods of the panopticon, however, have changed. In what ways, Esther, for example?
Okay, so we acknowledge three main changes in the causes and methods. Like the first of those, and the most important one for us, is the change from sanction to reward in the virtual panopticism. Then we saw also another change that's coming from discipline to control. And the third one is the tangibility towards intangibility, because that's the difference between Foucault's panopticon that was architectural to the virtual panopticism that we analyze through adversarial internet. Yeah, Chris, you can go.
And through it, we were capable of achieving a multitude of tasks, such as proposing a framework to analyze and illustrate atmospheres and elements of surveillance. And we have also included a short analysis on the consequence of the enforcement of the panopticism, and through it, the power dynamics of observer and observed. We took a look at the Chinese model of the United States and tried to project towards the future on what the world, and especially the European Union, should do, taking into account the knowledge of the existence of the inherent capacity and power contained within this power dynamic. The biggest challenge moving forward is not a technical or infrastructural problem. We believe that this is an ethical and normative problem. Keeping in mind the potential capacity of the misuse and the abuse of the panopticism of this power dynamics and the technological advancements that has made it possible towards the people. And again, echoing the focus of the European Union and the community, in the European community towards its adhered value as human rights, freedom, we believe that knowing the abuses and dangers inherent to this panopticism, this a power dynamic, will also allow us to stand together against its misuses.
Yes, so I think this is it with our presentation. So.
The organizers, I'm muted. No?
No, it's okay, it's okay.
It's okay? You can hear me? Dear organizers, dear public, first of all, I would like to thank the CyberSec Forum team, as well as the Kosciuszko Institute for the honor that was given to me to be present here today with you, but also for having selected me among the laureates of the CyberSec 2020 Young Leaders Initiative with my previous colleagues. Third-year PhD student in European law, I benefit of a scholarship from Grenoble Alpes Cybersecurity Institute in order to conduct a research thesis on NIS directive implementation effectiveness, the purpose being to identify factors that explain member states' compliance behavior to EU directives. My contribution this year for the CyberSec edition, Together Against Adversarial Internet, focuses on the challenges of establishing a technologically neutral European legislation on artificial intelligence. In other words, does the application of the principle of neutrality on European digital market makes it possible to effectively address the emerging European law on artificial intelligence? Principle of neutrality requires that the law generate the same effects regardless of the technological environment. However, the application of this principle may produce undesirable consequences in practice. Indeed, the neutrality of the law may lead to regulations whose meaning is so vague and character so inclusive that its application to technology may often be a matter of conjecture. The open nature of technologically neutral legislation could act as the deterrent to developers. Legal liability for artificial intelligence systems illustrates the complexity and risk of a technology-neutral approach, a situation that invites us to rethink its use. There are many possible alternatives to technological neutrality. The choice of legislative techniques shall not be necessarily bipolar between a technologically neutral position and a discriminative one. The specific neutrality approach, which is the proposition in my contribution, provides a rather interesting point of view in this area. According to this approach, laws should allow neutral treatment of all technologies that fall within a specific area delimited by certain characteristics and specifications. Doing so, specific neutrality approach should make possible to circumvent the unforeseen consequences of a neutrality principle. Furthermore, it should allow a non-legislative adaptation of law to new technologies and would recognize when new technologies should be treated differently from older ones. As concluding remark, it should be noted that the future of sustainable development and security in the European Union will widely depend on how digital technologies such as 5G or the cloud will be implemented. Artificial intelligence, whose evolution is very fast, outlines a different future for the socio-economic reality of the modern world. Thus, we must ensure that the digital transformation of our society and our industries is successfully developed to build a secure digital European market. Doing so, the digital transformation of the European Union will not only have to be followed by a specific neutrality legislative drafting in the field of artificial intelligence, but also by developing a fully operational strategic autonomy. Thank you very much for your attention.
Wow, what a great ceremony. Instead of, as normally, saying nice things about young people, we have just given those young people the floor so that they could share their minds with us and tell us what they have done to become the great winners today.